This is not a scene from the Oscar-winning blockbuster film Slumdog Millionaire. This is the sad reality of what happens daily on the streets of India. Traveling around India, we commonly come across the destitute and needy who beg passers-by for food and money. The majority of these are children. Orphan children who have no parents or guardians, who have no shelter, and are forced to spend their nights under the stars. Children who are all alone, vulnerable and scared. Often these children are abducted by organized criminals and their bodies mutilated and handicapped before they're forced out to beg. They know that amongst a multitude of poor, the handicapped may look more wretched, and passers-by would show more sympathy. Unfortunately, the criminals are the real recipients of the money. A major problem faced by these unfortunate orphans is of forced labor. This uncertain existence makes them easy prey for those wishing to exploit them and entrap them into forced labor. These children, many barely out of infancy, are made to work extensively selling goods, manufacturing, or providing services. Often they work 14 or 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, with minimal breaks and no holidays. Due to the absence of shelter and family, these poor children are exploited ruthlessly by their masters. The fear of being deprived of whatever little they're getting means they do not voice their agony and resign themselves to accepting their ordeal as destiny. As day turns to night, the fight for survival is transformed onto another level fraught with even more danger. Like any other child, they too deserve a proper bed to rest their weak and tired bodies. But these children have to settle down on the footpaths and roads, exposed to the blistering heat of summer and the bitter coldness of winter. Not only do they face hunger, lack of shelter, mistreatment, and threat of violence on a daily basis, but they also have to contend with the horrors of sexual abuse and exploitation. Girls especially make vulnerable targets for the flesh traders who take advantage of their homelessness to force them to succumb to their evil pressures. Often they end up in the sex trade, where rape and sexual abuse is a daily hazard, and sexually transmitted diseases are almost impossible to avoid. Food, clothing, and shelter should be a basic right for all the children of the world. Unfortunately, these children are deprived of even these essential necessities. The lack of shelter means they're forced to inhabit places which are dreadfully unhygienic and home to various diseases. Imagine the pitiable condition of a child faced with serious illness and disease, on top of the daily struggle against the ravages of poverty, lack of shelter, exploitation and abuse. Imagine the difference that you can make to the lives of these little ones. Imagine the joy on their little faces and the prayers they will grant you for providing them with the means of shelter, food and clothing. Imagine these children being free to enjoy life, free to play like any other child, free to enjoy and celebrate their childhood. Imagine the difference you can make to their lives. Orphans in need were established in order to help the world's most vulnerable and needy people. The organization's primary focus is on orphans and widows, often the weakest members of any society and the most affected by the scourge of poverty. Orphans in need are playing a leading role in the global battle against poverty, starvation, illiteracy, and exploitation. Our work is only possible with the kind-hearted support of our generous donors and the dedication of our volunteers. We humbly request all to help us in helping these innocent children. Help us in providing them with shelter. Help us in providing them with food and clothing. Help us in giving them hope. Help them so that their trust in humanity is restored. Orphans in Need have embarked on a major project to provide shelter for these children. One of the most important things in an orphan's life is a safe and secure roof over their head. Currently, there are over 65 million orphans in Asia alone, many of whom are in India. Orphans in Need plan to open a series of orphanages in and around the major urban centres of India. These orphanages will house hundreds of orphans who have no parents or carers and have found themselves all alone, living in the slums. We hope the upbringing, care, love and education they receive will turn their lives around and take them out of the cycle of poverty which would otherwise blight their futures. The orphanage will be unique in the country and will provide an unparalleled level of care, which will be without equal in this part of the world. The orphanage will be situated such that there will be ease of access to further educational institutions. We wish to educate all the children in our care to the highest possible standards and allow them to reach their full potential. Please donate to this worthy cause and bring hope to the innocent children. Remember, even giving something small is better than giving nothing at all.